Welcome to Backtracks. My name is Terry David Mulligan, and we're at the Jubilee Auditorium in Edmonton, Alberta, and we'll tell you why we're here in just a moment. There was a time in the late 60s, early 70s, when London's music scene was so vast, so varied, that it seemed like the center of the earth, or at least my earth. Besides the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, the Who, Jeff Beck, Procol Harum, Yes, Genesis, Jimi Hendrix, Jethro Tull, Rod Stewart, and the Faces, there was Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And that's why we're at the Jubilee Auditorium. They have come back to real life as Emerson, Lake and Palmer with a vengeance. They've released a new album called Black Moon. Also, the Atlantic record company has released the Atlantic Years, literally a greatest hits package from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They are in the middle of a Canadian tour. This week we'll find them in London, Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal, and eventually they will play all of the same countries and cities that they did many years ago, except in smaller venues. Therein lies a story. The Jubilee Auditorium, by the way, was where Procol Harum recorded with the Edmonton Symphony and their famous hit Conquistador. We're going to talk to all three members of Emerson, Lake and Palmer individually and as a group, and we'll show you some footage you've probably never seen before, like this.
Golf Alpha Zulu Whiskey Bravo.
C'est la vie. Have your leaves all turned to brown? Will you scatter them around you? C'est la vie. Do you love? And then how am I to know if you don't let your love show for me? C'est la vie. Oh, c'est la vie. Oh, c'est la vie. Who knows? Who cares for me? C'est la vie. In the night, do you light a lover's fire? Do the ashes of desire for you remain? Like the sea, there's a love too deep to show. Took a storm before my love flowed for you. C'est la vie. Oh, c'est la vie. Oh, c'est la vie. Who knows? Who cares for c'est la vie. Like a song, out of tune and out of time. All I needed was a rhyme for you, c'est la vie. Do you give? Do you live from day to day? Is there no song I can play for you, c'est la vie? C'est la vie.
We have promised to talk to real live musicians today, and in fact, we've found one. Welcome to
I'm alive.
Welcome to Edmonton.
Thank you. Nice to be here again.
Yeah, but have you stepped outside lately?
I try not to.
A little brisk.
Too brisk for me, personally speaking. But I would imagine it's a marvellous place in the summer, so they tell me.
The reaction when you went out on those first dates, what were you expecting? Did you have as you thought it might be?
Well, we really didn't have any preconceived ideas. I mean, we went out and we realised we'd had a 12-year layoff, and we were quite amazed by the amount of people that came along to see us. The demographic was really wide. It was from 16 to like 40, 45, which it's always been, but we thought maybe it won't be the same. But basically, the audience reaction and their age groupings seemed to be as it was when we left and as it was when we started. So we were quite surprised that we were like remembered as well. I mean, our records are still played on classic radio. We have a certain amount of catalogue which is in the shops, you know, which has been there over the years. But you can never tell how many people are actually going to come out and see you play.
Groups who have to go back and play against themselves, mirror themselves. In other words, you left a legacy, then you come back. There's sometimes good news and bad news. Some groups simply cannot live up to the people that they once were, because they're not.
That's right.
However, it appears to me that you have all of the same elements that you had when you left us.
And a few grey hairs.
And wisdom, and wisdom.
And wisdom. Well, fortunately enough, with being the type of band that we are, which has dealt with really the progressive side of music, it's been a wonderful return because of the advent of various advances in technology has really helped us, has given us more to use, more to express ourselves with musically. Obviously the sound is a lot better today. Keith has more opportunities as a keyboard player. When we finished in late '78, they didn't have MIDI, for example, where you can have 3 or 4 keyboards playing at the same time and only playing one, and have this amazing collage of sound. So for us, it was a very fruitful time because there were many more things to use and experiment with. And that's basically what our music is all about, experimentation.
Give us a crash course, a musical history, if you will, on how you got to join up with these lads.
Keith and Greg were playing together at the Fillmore West. Keith was in the Nice, Greg was in the King Crimson. They were kind of tied with their own bands, you know. And on their return to London, I believe they got together, started talking, started to look for a drummer. They were going to have a 3-4-piece band. They decided on 3. So they started looking around London for a new drummer, and Mitch Mitchell was the first guy which was approached. And something went wrong there. I don't really know the complete story. Anyway, Keith's manager of the Nice, Tony Stratton Smith, who died many years ago, recommended my name to Keith.
And you were with?
I was with, at the time of Keith contacting me, or Tony Stratton Smith contacting me, I was with a band called the Atomic Rooster, which was the leftovers of The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. It was Vincent Crane and myself. The Crazy World of Arthur Brown was a reasonably big band in '68. We had a #1 single and album at the same time in America.
Big sound, too.
With a track called Fire. Yeah. It was quite a big sound, yes. Kit Lambert was responsible for that. Anyway,
tell him who Kit Lambert was.
Kit Lambert was
who he became.
Well, Kit Lambert actually was the original sort of a manager. Kit Lambert, Chris Stamp managed The Who, Jimi Hendrix way back. Didn't actually manage Jimi Hendrix because that was another guy, but they had him on the record label, which was Trax, and that's basically who he was, you know. And he became a record producer, produced various things, and Arthur Brown was one of them. Yep. Anyway, I was in the Atomic Rooster. Tony Stratton Smith called me and said, would you like to come along and play with Keith and Greg? Now, I knew Keith. I wasn't too sure who Greg was because I hadn't really paid too much attention to King Crimson. But they were kind of an art rock band, and I was in a kind of underground, sort of almost a psychedelic band in the Atomic Rooster. A little bit freaky, a little bit bluesy, but underground more, you know. Anyway, I went along and played. I thought they were really nice guys. I had to go off on a tour which had been booked, so they kind of, I had plenty of time to think about it, and at the end, well, you know, the history is history. I ended up joining them, and well, we've known each other on and off now for, well, we played together for a 9.5-year period, and then we had another decade of being together in different formations. Greg was in Asia with me for a little while. Right. When we went to Japan, Keith and I had a group called Three, and we did a quick tour of America, like a 6-week tour. They were both together with a different drummer, Powell. So I would, you know, a large half of my life, basically, I've been working with these two guys in some capacity. And I would say that this is the official sort of part 2 of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He said. What
about that space in between when, in fact, you weren't there?
I was in a band called Asia. I was in Asia for 8 years. I recorded the last album with them. We had some really good success, fine success in the early 80s. The first 3 albums were pretty good. It went downhill after that a little bit, but that was a fine time. I really enjoyed that. That was a one-off for me because I'd never been in a group where one plays songs. You know, I'd always been in this type of group. You know, it's all a little bit sort of on the technical side, and I really enjoyed it. Though we do play a lot of songs. Greg has a lot of very beautiful songs which we play. Asia was more of a corporate rock band, and it was nice to do for a while, to see that side of it, because as I say, it was something I hadn't done before.
Now, what's happened to the 3 of you technically on stage? How have you changed as musicians?
Well, obviously there's a lot more, as I said earlier, that we can use to improve the sound. Most of the sound now is digital. There's a couple of analog keyboards. All of the drums are digital. They look like acoustic drums, but basically I trigger everything. I have a couple of Akai samplers, and basically everything we play, nothing is programmed, nothing's coming off any tape. We have one track which we, actually 2 tracks where we've got a sequence going. Lucky Man, for example, we always used to miss the acoustic guitar on stage. So I play with headphones on, and we have the bass line on a loop, right? And basically, it works really well. We figured that this was one time when we do that, but everything on the record we play, you know, and there's no button pushing here. It's all real stuff.
But as players, how have you changed? How have you your approach to drumming?
It's probably calmer, believe it or not. It probably is. It's very difficult for me to say. You know?
Calmer.
Well, I'm sort of. I only have to take 1 aspirin a day now just to calm myself down. Before it was 2. It's just probably a bit more thoughtful, you know what I mean? Before, I used to try and fill the group out and make it sound as big as I possibly could, you know. I used to play a lot of unison lines with Keith, and I still do a lot of that, but it's probably just a little more considerate, you know. Obviously, as you get older, you mature and you become a bit more thoughtful. That's the only word I can use.
There's a kind word, considerate, because 3 guys in a band who all blow hard. There has to be room for everybody to work with.
It's difficult, but in a 3-piece band, it's a little more fun, because if somebody makes a mistake, there's only 2 other guys to cover you up, and so you've got to be on your toes. It's a lot of fun, actually. I think, for me, the biggest, how can I put it? When I walk out and play, the thing that impresses me the most, personally, about being in the band, is that this is the only trio ever in the history of rock that is keyboard-driven. There's no other trio ever that's had a keyboard.
And they said it couldn't work then. And
that's right.
They say it can't work now.
That's right. And for me, it's kind of unique. It's a unique sound. It's something that's never been duplicated. I mean, there's lots of guitar bands that have been, you know, covered, but no one really has ever tried to be like us. you know, and it's kind of unique from that point of view, and I like that.
And they slagged you unmercifully
They
for
always,
doing it.
and they still do it.
Why?
Tam. I don't know why. I think we looked very sort of, or we seemed to be extremely ostentatious when we first came out, extravagant and whatever, because of the shows that we used to put on. But as time has gone by, people can see that there are many more artists that have done much more than what we ever did, you know, as time has gone by. But in the early 70s, it looked extravagant when you had 3 tracks, you know.
Yeah, right.
And today you expect to have that just with a wardrobe, you know what I mean?
Thanks for your time.
More than a pleasure. Thank you.
You can sing along with us one if you want. You as well. He had white horses and ladies by the score, all dressed in satin and waiting by the door. Ooh, what a lucky man he was. Ooh, what a lucky man he was.
More real live musicians, ladies and gentlemen, here on the show. We are Trax from Jubilee Auditorium. Do you know much about this building?
I don't know.
Home of the Edmonton Symphony.
Is that right?
Do you remember who the first rock and roll band to kind of play with the Edmonton Symphony?
Who was
Remember
that? No.
Procol Harum.
Was it really?
This was the building.
Was it really?
The very building.
Well, there you go. You see, a man of knowledge you are.
You have an ear for lyrics, you have an eye for the visual, but when you're on stage there, and I was watching you work out, do you still think as a producer as well?
It's a habit. I can't get out of it. It's when I listen to Keith's keyboards, I always hear if all the parts are there, you know. But it's just something we do. We kind of cover each other in a way like that.
Do you?
Funny business. I think all of us, everybody in the band's, you know, slightly critical of the other person. So you know, where's that bass line that you had on the record? You know.
Was that one of the things that kept getting in the way and eventually caused you to all walk in different directions?
No, it wasn't. Well, what happened was at the end of the 70s, I think we just became fatigued. We used to play an average of 180 shows a year. And every 18 months we'd bring out another record. Well, of course, you know, if you do that for 10 years, you end up, we ended up just emotionally, creatively fatigued, physically fatigued. And I think we just felt that it was time to take a break, time to stop. We did at least have some degree of originality at that time, and that I cannot separate it from memories, you know. They are part of my life, they're part of our fans' lives, and now we come to play on tour with them. I think the most powerful feeling is that you can feel people's lives when you play Lucky Man. Somebody will say, oh, you know, I remember what I was doing when I first heard it, or, you know, I remember we just played Budapest in Hungary, and we were playing pictures at an exhibition, and I saw this chap in the front row, and he had tears streaming down his face. And after the show, he was waiting at the back door to get an autograph, you know. And I went outside and I saw him there, and he was obviously distressed, you know. And I got him inside the stage door, and I said, yeah, you know, it's only music, you know. He said, no, you don't understand. And he told me a story. He'd been put in prison for 3 months by the Russians for owning pictures at an exhibition. And he said, I've waited 15 years to see you, you know. And all that time, all those memories of being a prisoner and of being suppressed, obviously all flooded back to him with this record of pictures at an exhibition. And it's that, really, that when I hear material from the past, it's those sort of things that make me think it was worth it, you know.
Bass playing in my face, grinding the elastic. in the street, nowhere to sleep, no time for nothing, nobody to lead. Pedal to the middle, blow by blow, you're running with the devil, it's touch and go. Believing you're nothing, nowhere to go, just put you in the corner like an old banjo. The strings are breaking, but you can't say no. You're running with the devil, it's touch and go.
We are back, Trax, in the nation's music station, Much Music. Keith Emerson is joining us for what we hope will be a... we're going to have to cross a lot of musical boundaries by the time we get to this concert here and your tour. When, I don't know who it was who laid the label on you, probably a music critic. I would assume that you were the Hendrix of the keyboards, and it was great from a marketing standpoint. It turns people's ears and head towards you at the time, but it must have placed undue burden on you also to what? What did it do for you at the time? Do you remember?
Not a lot. It was a thing that everybody was going through at the time. I think Pete Townsend capped it as being destructive art.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of in a rebellion against the love hippie movement that was happening. I remember at one of the festivals that Hendrix played on, at the horror on the audience's face when Hendrix started smashing his guitar up, you know. It's a tremendous release for that sort of thing.
Sure.
You know, I don't sort of look at it any other way, really. I don't really look at it as an act. It all started really by accident. I was playing in another band in northern France. This is before ELP and even before the Nice.
Wow.
And that's when I first did it. And a fight broke out in the audience. And I hadn't slept for about 2 nights and started attacking the organ and crashing it around, and they stopped fighting and looked up at the stage and thought, what the hell is he doing up there, you know? So the next concert, I think, was in England, and the band said, hey, do that again. And, you know, that went down really well. So that's really how it started.
And you at that time, were you a withdrawn player on stage? Were you pretty well into your keyboards?
Yeah, I used to sit down at the keyboards. And then one day the road manager lost the organ stall, so I had to stand up and play, which I was very annoyed about. You know.
Did Jimmy's experimentation, which is really quite remarkable at the time, did it also influence you and vice versa?
I thought he had an uncanny sense of music. I know that he probably didn't study classical music, but the opening riff to Purple Haze definitely sounds a bit Bartok-inspired, you know, to me.
But if you said that to him, he might not know who you were talking about.
Well, I knew him very well, you know. I mean, we actually did tour together, and I jammed with him, I think, on one occasion. But he was a very private guy, you know. You couldn't really sort of hold him down. You know, I once sat at a table with him and Jeff Beck, and all Jeff Beck and Hendrix talked about all night was different guitar strings, and I felt a little out of it, you know, being the only keyboard player there.
Was there any one thing that caused Emerson, Lake and Palmer to come together? Was there a meeting? Was it just happen chance?
I was playing in San Francisco with the Nice, and I think King Crimson was supporting, and I'd heard about this bass player that could sing and play bass with the band King Crimson. I heard a record, and I got a chance to listen to him, and then after he played, I grabbed him backstage and said, would you be interested in getting a band together? And he said, I might be. We'll talk about it back in England. So that was it. We spent about 3 months talking about it and looking for drummers, and then along came Carl Palmer. We had a rehearsal, and that was it. We were off.
Were you always going to be one to push the limits of what your instrument and what you as a musician could do? Did it just seem your nature to do that?
Yes. I mean, I tried getting larger bands together, but it was really time-consuming, you know, making sure all their parts were right. So, you know, I felt better to be totally in control of the whole thing and, you know, try and handle everything, you know. Then, of course, I wanted to expand the sound that I was creating, and luckily enough, I heard of an inventor, Robert Moog, and we worked closely together on the first Moog synthesizer.
How big was it? Give me a graphic.
Well, it started off with one small cabinet, you know, and with a lot of leads in it, and looking a bit like a telephone switchboard, and we gradually added stuff to it, and it, you know, had to get a ladder to reach up to the top of it in the end.
But for all of its size, what could it do?
Oh, it could do a lot of things. It still is incorporated into my keyboard rig now. It doesn't have such a major role, but it does feature.
But now, the instrumentation now is...
The instrumentation now is like, it's got a bit beyond me. I'm glad to have great keyboard techs that understand it and can work out all the problems. Yeah, I'm still amazed at what is possible for, you know, one person to do.
Is it fair to say that the technology has finally caught up to how you envision your music?
Yeah, I think that's really why we disbanded at the end of the 70s, because I was disappointed after playing with an orchestra, touring with an orchestra, that we couldn't get that big sound out, and going back to being just 3 people was a little disheartening. But I'm glad that technology has now advanced to such a stage that we can sound, hopefully, like an orchestra at times.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer. In fact, we have them for just a moment, and then I got to go and do other things like rehearse and play. So this is the second leg of this tour, then.
Yep.
It's going to take you through Canada,
Yes.
the States, Japan. No, you go back.
South America.
South America.
We're
South
considering
America.
South America, yeah? End of
Yeah.
March sometime.
In other words, this could go on forever. No.
It probably will. At least another 9 years.
Did you make, and when you reformed to do all of this and do the album, did you give it a time limit? Did you say, let's take it a bit at a time and just see how the album comes out and then we'll talk about a tour, or was it a grand plan?
You have to do it on a grand plan, really, because, I mean, the amount of initial, you know, expenditure with equipment and lighting and all that stuff, you know, you can't just do a one-off thing. You know. But apart from that, we wanted to do it anyway. It's the right time.
How do you integrate Black Moon into your set now? Because you've got a lot to draw from.
I mean, we just select the tracks that we think are the ones that were most popular, that people liked perhaps the most.
Such
and the
as?
ones, well, we play Black Moon, the title track. We play Paper Blood from the album. And possibly on this forthcoming tour, we might include one other off the album. Of course, it's difficult because in a 2-hour show or whatever it is, people want to hear something from every album. We like to play a piece from each album. We play Pictures at an Exhibition, Tarkus, things from Brain Salad Surgery, right the way back through. And so there's only a limited amount of time you can play all your new stuff, you know. But we like to do as much as we
2
can.
hours, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
2-hour show over like the 11 albums we've made or whatever it is. But we try to create the sound that obviously is on the record or the CD. We try to better that in a live environment because in a live situation there are a few more things you can do, there are a few things that you can't do. And I think every night there are changes in the music. And I think the people enjoy the changes in our music on a nightly basis because I think that just shows you there's an awful lot of human element in it. You know, there's no doubt when we start Tarkus you recognize it straight away, but the solos will be different every night, and I think that's the enjoyment of playing live. That's one of the things that we kind of live for, really. That keeps the music fresh, which is really the most important thing in a live environment. You know?
I think as important as the music is, I think you as people is if not, it is more important. How you remain as friends in a business that tears people up and spits them out, and you know that. So can you save anybody grief and pain? Can you give them a quick lesson here?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Can't have a drink.
I think what it is basically, at the bottom line, I think, is a mutual respect. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we respect each other for what we do, and I think that is the overriding thing. And over the years, we've become more like a family, really, than a band. And it's like that.
Everybody does something. Everyone is good at one particular thing. And I think it takes time to recognize that. And when you do, then everything falls into place and the machine can work. But when you're a young band, you don't know exactly what's going to happen. You don't understand personalities, but the older you get, the more wisdom you've got and the more you understand people, which is the most important thing, really, is understanding people, I think.
There's a whole new generation of fans out there who have only heard about what it was like to be in London in particular in the early 70s. What the music scene was like. It was truly remarkable. What do you remember? Do you have fond memories of that time?
It was great to be able to go out to local clubs and, you know, see Hendrix or Clapton getting up there jamming. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist in London anymore. Well, not that I've found, anyway. It was an exciting time, it really was.
It was an age when music had a high degree of originality and individuality.
And passion.
Yeah, and there were characters in the business. Now it's become very homogenized and bland, I think, music, and market-driven rather than art-driven. You know.
I have to be very honest and say that I actually went to see this band 8 times in my life, and that was the Cream. I was just so devastated that a band could sound so big, and there was only 3 of them. I just loved Jack Bruce's singing at the time, and obviously Eric Clapton's playing and whatever, and I was very interested in that kind of crossover from blues into sort of songwriting like they had on like Disraeli Gee, and that kind of interested me. And it was at that stage really that I decided that if I could ever be in a 3-piece band, and here I am, it would be the best thing for me. I felt there was just so much happening for them on stage, you know.
Well then, we know you have a tour to get ready for. Going across this great vast nation. If they come your way, please take care of them. Invite them in for tea. Buy them a drink. Show them the patch. You have to show them this. It's a very 90s kind of thing. You'd never see this in the 70s.
My non-smoking patch here, and it works well. If anybody out there wants to go out smoking,
And by the way,
these a go.
this space is for sale.
I'm patched out.
Thanks for talking to us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.